really liking it up. I mean, just catching up the box score, seeing how definitely now that well, that's what he's catching that. Kind of skating one of these games over the next one. I think it's too good on that. Still good. Ryan Featherston has really illustrated himself up on it. He's got 20 goals and 64 games played. On his third half of the final, and he's got 31 points in the process as well. And really, we're calling for this rise to fall in this Vancouver Canucks lineup from Queen and Canada to the Union in this game, he's ranked as the third best winger. I mean, of course, each team of the week, Pettersson plays center sometimes, but really it's just kind of rotating around here. Pettersson has been good the last little while, too. 7 points in his last 10 games and 4 points in his last 5. Elias Pettersson has himself a total of 79 points in 66 games off the year, on pace for about 99. So he's got a good thing to depart from this 102-point season from last season. He did say before the year began that his goal was to best out his 102-point campaign. He wants to get at least 103. He's still in the territory to be capable of doing that. It's just because he slowed down a little bit, 7 points in his last 10 games and 4 points in his last 5 isn't a point per game anymore. It's going to be increasing the speed of his production goes over the next, 16 games or so. His trip from San Jose to Tampa, and he is also on this list. Not to mention Philip Teravainen, Nathan McKinnon, and Kevin Dead. My goodness, Nathan McKinnon. He should be near the top of this list every single week. The fact that he's only in the 4th line center spot, this fact speaks volumes of how a lot of these other guys have been playing. But then you have yourself the defenseman. Who views is the best defenseman on the league based off of the metric of game score, with his 11.31 marker. He has been phenomenal still. 10 points in his last 10 games, 6 points in his last 5. I've been talking about the games the past few years, and to be very good at getting scoring on points. And for my fantasy, I really hated that in particular. So the fact that he wasn't really doing so, I needed to drop him, which is kind of why, I guess. He's starting to score points because he's sliding a little bit. I don't really know, but he's a little big news this season. He was on pace for 94 points himself. He was on pace for like 100-something earlier in the year. But as the year went on, it stopped to consistently produce a 100-point pace type of defenseman. Very rare to see that. So the Vancouver team is only on for 90, but that's still a fantastic season. He's got 76 points in the 66 games, but he was almost half an assist a game, which is pretty nuts to think about, especially when you consider the current status of the NHL. Plus the fact that he's got 13 goals, that's a very big marker, and a huge step up from his 17 goals last season. So Captain Quinn Hughes has gone out there with a stellar year and stellar week. You've got Sebastian Aho, the New York Islanders, the defenseman Sebastian Aho. I consider that a pretty high. I'm scared because he gets better. Starts with my feeling, that's the job that we respect. The stuff and put my name in the government and what we do is check in if it ended up to make stuff to go to the space, the message is done with the plan. Thanks for helping with the financial and I just wanted to discuss all that church is the other one, but into my pyramids. Different. Over here, a lot of good stuff goes on. Also, Yusuf Alamaki and Bill McCall. So McCall moving himself over onto the team of the week. Trevor Lieber and Anthony Stolarz are your best goaltenders of the past 7 days, too. Nice to see them getting some representation. And then, for the game strong, Christian Fichter, Robbie Fabry. I mean, look, the Wings have been playing like trash, and for since they put that trash logo on their jersey. And I say trash logo, literally, it's the logo of the trash garbage company. So, yeah, is there some sort of a coincidence? I don't know, man. I don't know. You can tell me in the comment section below whether or not you feel that is the case. But Daniel Sprong had himself a pretty bad week, all things considered. 1 point in his last 5 games and 5 points in his last 10. So you can see really the drop-off in production there. Strong this season has 39 points in 64 games. Well, now they start out 50, but of course, he's only getting 1 point in 5 games, continuing for the next little while. That point production points in 64 games is already pretty good. Really good figure for Stevie Watt and the Seattle Kraken from last season. But other than that, I mean, take a look at some of the other guys over here. Christian Fischer is on the worst team in the league. Robin Stenman, Robbie Fowler's, who got 3 wins, 2 Penguins, 2 Blues, all over. It's pretty apparent that a lot of the worst teams of the league metrics will be determined at team performance. And if the team is playing poorly, it's just kind of inevitable that some of the players on the team will be playing poorly too. Like the third-line center on the worst team of the league, Sidney Crosby, is over here listed with a negative game score. And he's got 1 point in his last 5 games. Look at the metric right here. 9 points in his last 10, 1 point in his last 5. So if we isolate some of these numbers here, Sidney Crosby had 8 points in 5 games, and then in his next 5 games, he only had 1. So that's pretty indicative as to where the Pittsburgh Penguins have gone the past little while, especially post-Bill Benson trade. He's got 64 points in 63 games played. He's on his solo 1 point per game. We've all been talking about how Crosby has been the moniker of consistency, over point per game seasons continuously for the span of about, 20 years now or so. He's been so good his entire career, but with the way the Penguins have been faltering the past little while, who knows if Sidney Crosby's point per game season campaign will continue and he'll still be able to keep up this streak. I mean, he's still got it for now, but let's just pay attention over the next few weeks how well the Pittsburgh Penguins are able to perform. And then running out the rest of the worst team of the week, you have yourself Tomas Milchek, Braden Shen, and Philip Zadina. So even when the Wings aren't on the list, you have Detroit Red Wings on the list and Philip Zadina. Going over to the defensemen, Peter Joseph, as your worst pairing, not to mention probably two guys and Rasmus Anderson rounding up the top 4, and then Ben Sherratt and Jeff Petrie are your 2, 5th and 6th worst defensemen in the NHL. That's very much Montreal friendly right there. Not to mention that we have Dan Bedard as the worst goalie in the past week, and Alex Lyon too. So very unlucky look for the Detroit Red Wings fan base because the team has been playing like dog line the past little while here. But 6 wins making the worst team of the week, that's unlucky. And then you got over to the best team of the week, and you've got a bunch of Canucks, 3 guys that have been dominating, and a bunch of Islanders too. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the NHL's best and worst team of the week from March 5th and March 11th. If you're a Red Wings fan or you're a Canucks fan, let me know your opinions on how these guys have played. They'll be here for this British Choice 99. And bye. Chris, give the field back, please.
Just streaming full time. That's cool.
So we have made a few videos talking about guys who got traded before the NHL trade deadline. We made videos about guys who did get sent away during that deadline day. And we even made videos talking about guys that got traded afterwards, which is kind of interesting, but not all too common. But either way, today's video is going over one of these names that was not traded. He started the season and the trade deadline day on a team, and he'll end the season on this same team. He's a guy that you could very well say probably should have gotten moved, but ended up staying pat, for better or for worse. And it turns out, this guy probably was going to get traded, but to no avail. Let's talk today about how the New York Rangers got completely screwed over by the Vegas Golden Knights in a trade scenario involving San Jose Sharks forward Alexander Barabanov. Now that was a mouthful to go out there and say, but we'll try our best to clear up what exactly that means. Barabanov is a 29-year-old 5'10", 194 left-handed winger, signed to the end of the season making $2.5 million a year, a contract that was given to him by the San Jose Sharks during the midst of a very good stint in that team. He's had 2 years of Sharks hockey, posting up 30 near 40-point years, and last year, think about Kyle Dubas. Because Barabanov actually used to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, but he was sent over to San Jose in a trade that Dubas made that was pretty much just like doing right by the player more than anything. You see, Barabanov used to be a top-of-the-line KHL forward on a top-of-the-line KHL team, in this case, St. Petersburg. But he became a free agent, and he wanted to sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs on the condition that Kyle Dubas provided, saying, hey, if we can't provide you a roster spot, if we can't actually use you, then we're going to trade you somewhere that will, and we'll give you that opportunity to go out. Because at the end of the day, this is your NHL future. We acknowledge that you want to play consistently, and if we can't give you that, then you have the right to express frustration, and we'll try to give you a new. Kyle Dubas was a pretty good player to play.
This is it. This is your dog living their best life. With real T-bone meats, whole foods, and high levels of omega-3 and 6 fatty acids. There, is our recipe.
Hello?
Here in that respect, always doing right by his guys, and Barabanov getting sent over to San Jose definitely was a testament of that trait. Now, this season, Barabanov has 10 points in 39 games played, on pace for about 14 in the 58-game season, which is not great. It's not the same as like he had done last year, and because his contract is expiring, you could very well say that NHL teams may go out there and want to capitalize on the profile that Barabanov had from last year, and thus pay a premium price for a guy who's only making $2.5 million. Or, for the San Jose Sharks, try to get something, anything for a guy whose contract is expiring and will probably go to free agency. It's kind of a tango that we've danced before. We know exactly the situations and why these conversations happen. But it turns out, apparently, the New York Rangers almost got a trade through for Barabanov. It just didn't end up happening, and to understand why, we'll head over to this article on San Jose Hockey Now, published by Champagne, talking about how a source says a Barabanov trade to the Rangers fell through right before the deadline. On Thursday, the eve of the trade deadline, Barabanov and Anthony Duclair were stretched for a trade-related reasons, a sure sign that moves were in the cards. Anthony Duclair was tough before the Sharks matchup that night, but Barabanov sat and sat, and the trade deadline passed on Friday at noon. So what happened? The Tomas Hertl trade happened. In a shocker, the Sharks sent their franchise icon to the hated Vegas Golden Knights. As a part of the deal, San Jose used their last salary retention spot on Hertl, a salary retention slot that was meant for Barabanov. Sharks GM Mike Clear said much yesterday on retaining Hertl, it definitely came into play today. Unfortunately, it might have knocked us out of maybe a deal. So, what was the deal? A source told San Jose Hockey Now that Barabanov was about to be dealt to the Rangers before the Hertl shocker reached the finish line about 20 minutes away from the deadline. And that right there is some absolutely crazy information, because the Rangers, you could say that much of their fan base was a little bit disappointed with the way things went, and you could say they definitely did make their habits. Like, the Rangers added on some good depth. They got Jack Lawson, who's a player that I like. They also got themselves Chad Lolito to help them out in the blue line. But if there was a need for extra scoring, more offense, there could have been a discussion about that. Barabanov faced the bill. And right after this information was revealed, we actually did see quite a few Rangers fans all over social media saying, oh man, it's always the Vegas Golden Knights, right? Freaking Vegas, they screwed us over with this. If they didn't make that Hertl trade, then we couldn't make that trade for Barabanov because the Sharks didn't use their final retention spot. Barabanov at 2.5 was already pretty okay when you consider his 40-something point year last year, but Barabanov at 1.25? That's a great contract as long as you believe that the Barabanov last year is still present in what Barabanov has been doing this year. And to be fair, much of the San Jose Sharks roster as their production in 22-23. Because, let's face it, when you have a 100-point player on your team like Erik Karlsson was last year, it's kind of inevitable that other guys will get points. But either way, much of the Sharks' offense has been struggling. Barabanov's numbers have decreased as well. And this article on San Jose says, hey, this is a poor situation. Poor Barabanov. The NUFA, with no contract offer pending from the Sharks, spoke honestly about how badly he wanted to experience NHL playoff hockey. When asked on Thursday how much he missed winning, the two-time Geiger and Cup champion at 29 years old couldn't contain himself. Oh my gosh, so much. When I was 25, we won every year. The KHL Cup, big games, world championships. We didn't win, but we have medals. I miss the playoffs and everything. It's why I play hockey. And, you know, man, you just feel not a little bit bad for this guy. I mean, if he was traded to the Rangers, which seemed to have been possible, and maybe even likely, before that Tomas Hertl trade went down, he probably would have found himself in some sort of a meaningful playoff race, if not a playoff run, even with New York. And of course, it always boils down to Vegas, right? Not because Alex Barabanov and the trade that would have sent him over to the Rangers was insufficient or not good enough or whatever. It's just, hey, the Sharks got themselves some stuff for trading only Tomas Hertl and multiple thirds. It's very odd how everything went down. But at the end of the day, the Sharks used up all their retention spots, and they did not get a trade done for Alex Barabanov. What are your thoughts on the way this entire scenario went down? What are your opinions about the Vegas Golden Knights? Pretty much screwed.
Sorry about that, right?
Here you go.
Yeah, I really want to go to the top.
Points out of the race at the time of recording this audio, and you don't have any games in hand, there still is a lot of hope for the future. Because today the Buffalo Sabres played off against my third favorite team, the Detroit Red Wings, and I actually had the luxury of having this game on my Sportsnet broadcast here in Vancouver, BC. So I did have this game on in the background, I was paying attention, I was keeping some notes, but ultimately this was the kind of game where whatever notes you get, yeah, they're not really worth all too much because the Red Wings ended up losing 7-3. It was a very bad game, yet again, from the boys from Motown. And, you know, at this point, somebody's got to go out there to get rid of that garbage sponsor on their jersey. And no, it's not being rude. It's literally sponsorship for a garbage company. So, the garbage sponsor, please, it's cursed this team for some reason. Either that or Dylan Larkin's injury really did impact the team in more ways than you could have imagined. But either way, as we talked about in the video earlier today, talking about how the best and worst teams of the league featured many Canucks players on the best team and many Red Wings on the worst team, we have ourselves a very, very off-putting game from the Detroit POV as they lose 7-3. As I've said, you know, it's easy to understand and talk about things in a game that's really tight, but in a game like this, against Buffalo, when it's 4-1 after the first period, there's really nothing else that you can learn. Alex Lyon has forgotten how to goaltend. They played him into the ground. A bunch of these other guys have just been so reduced in terms of their efficiency on the ice that it's kind of weird just seeing the fall out of playoff contention that the Wings have exhibited the past few weeks. It's been so tragic, and I don't think anybody could have expected this, just from one Dylan Larkin leaving the lineup. Now, cooler heads will prevail here. I think everybody kind of acknowledges, okay, I mean, the Red Wings are not there yet. I don't think anybody was fully expecting them to be there yet, but just making the playoffs would have been nice. At this point, though, we kind of have to refer to what Steve Yzerman said at the very beginning, that this will take years, 10-year process here for the Detroit Red Wings to get back into competitive playoff contention. But for now, we'll just see if they can weather the storm. A game like this against Buffalo definitely does not help in that respect, but there still are some things to look forward to. But when it comes to the Buffalo Sabres POV, I wanted to make this video because of one guy who went out there and pretty much started dominating the moment he arrived in Buffalo, New York. You know from the title, you know from the thumbnail, today we're talking about Bowen Byram. Because, man, is this guy looking like an absolute superstar. And not even that he wasn't the stud, but with the Colorado Avalanche, the team that he was drafted 4th overall by in the 2019 NHL draft. But Bowen Byram, with his stint in Buffalo, is at over a point per game. He's got 4 points in 3 games played, and 3 of those points that he has accrued are all goals. Byram had 8 goals in 55 games with the Colorado Avalanche this season. And now, just in 3 Sabres games, he's got 3 goals himself. He's really gone out there and shown off what made him such a special prospect in 2019. And we had talked about all of this in the initial video discussing the Byram and Casey Middlestad trade in the first place. We said that because Colorado is so good, because you have Bowen Byram, Devon Taves, Josh Manson, Cale Makar, a lot of these guys, Samuel Girard in there too, because this decor is so stacked, you could debate that a player like Bowen Byram, who is only 22 years old, isn't really put in the best position to develop in the same way that Cale Makar was when he was a rookie. Makar was a number 1 defenseman right away because the Colorado Avalanche were pretty trash. So they needed to get some guys filling in roster spots, and Cale Makar happened to be that guy. He was good right out the gate, and he dominated. Bowen Byram doesn't have that luxury. He is playing behind Cale Makar, and behind Samuel Girard, and behind these other left-handed defensemen. It was always going to be a tough hill to climb. So they traded Byram for Middlestad, they got their center, and then to free up the center spot for Middlestad, they traded away Johansson for Sean Walker. Everything works out, and the Colorado Avalanche are happy. Buffalo Sabres fans, on the other hand, are happy as well because, man, oh man, is Bowen Byram in a breath of fresh air. You talked about the pace that the Colorado Avalanche play with. You talk about how they're so used to always going, skating, and bringing forward that mentality on the ice that's embodied in the spirit of Nathan McKinnon. They're always going. No stoppages of play here. Always fortunate, always on the rush, always moving around. This is the play style that Bowen Byram has been used to. And bringing that over to the Buffalo Sabres squad, where they're so stagnant in the power play and their guys don't move around, you start to notice right away, okay, yeah, Bowen Byram is definitely coming over from a Stanley Cup.
This is it. This truck sales event and Stu. Now get 0% financing for up to 60 months on select 2023 F-150s. They're here right now, but not for long.
Championship caliber team. And he's played like it too, because the way he's scoring these goals, I mean, he's getting long shots from out of the side, he's coming in on goals to pick up loose rebounds, he's just doing what an offensive mobile defenseman is capable of doing. And it's in a different way than we see Rasmus Dahlin go out there and do his thing. It's in a different way than we see Owen Power exhibit his overall play. Bo Byram has just energized this defense core, this team, this fan base. He's taking over as one of the hottest Sabres over the past few days, and ultimately, I'm super excited to see it. I'm not too surprised, considering that Bo Byram was always supposed to be a top-of-the-line #1 defender caliber prospect when he was drafted by Colorado. It's just because his development was so, I don't think slowed down is the right phrasing to use, but he wasn't utilized as much as a young defender who could be a #1 defender. Could have been in Colorado, because playing behind all those guys, I mean, it makes sense, right? It's just now that he's in Buffalo, where, sure, you could say Dahlin is the #1 guy there, but there's still a good amount of rotation going along here. It's not like Bo Byram's ice time is completely depleted. He's still getting his chances and he's still scoring goals. And against a Detroit Red Wings team that has just been going down the drain, this is looking really bad for them. Man, the Detroit Red Wings are in a really tough spot because now they're completely falling out of the playoff picture. Sure, they're still technically in it, but with the way they've been playing the past few days, you can't say that they're pretty much guaranteed to be getting themselves in here. And this 2-goal game from Bo Byram definitely doesn't make things any better, especially going up against the Alex Lyon net-minded Detroit Red Wings. So before we end off this video, let's just go over all the other stuff that was happening in this game. First period, the goal was scored by Alex Tuck. 1-0 Buffalo, just 1 minute in the game. Then you had the Bowen Byram goal, the first one, the rebound out on the side that was at the 10-minute mark, 2-0 Buffalo. Then Sherrock then scored to make it 2-1, but then followed up by Zach Benson and Jeff Skinner. The Sabres ended off the first with a 4-1 lead. The second period gets underway, and it's Connor Clifton. Yeah, you let Connor Clifton score on you, Detroit. I am sorry, but that kind of shot, I mean, it just went straight in. Like, it was on the rush, pass over to Clifton on the side there, and just one-timed it. And then Bowen Byram got a second of the night at the halfway mark of the game, make it 6-1. Lucas Raymond then made it 6-2, but then